Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Renatus Jam. My name is Jay Stark. I am ridiculously excited to be back in the studio live with you with my favorite co-host.
Favorite? Who else?
You're my favorite.
Favorite means that there's others.
No, it doesn't have to mean there's others, right?
Mr. Matt Snyder.
Mr. Matt Snyder. Why can't you be my favorite co-host?
I don't know. It sounds like there's more than...
Why do you have to make it weird?
I blame you, Jay.
Oh, I'm so happy to be back.
Do you want me to start it over?
No.
We keep.
Are you sure? Because that was really weird, guys.
I tried to make it as weird as possible.
Attaboy.
Yes.
Attaboy, Matthew. All right, we are back live in the studio. I've been away for a couple of weeks, and I have missed you terribly. So I'm excited to be back with you again. But in true fashion, Mr. Snyder.
Yes.
What is new and exciting?
Man, Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, we've got Patrick Munson coming in town, into the studio. Yeah.
So this is an all new course for Saladio called the Tax Slasher.
Yes.
And we are inviting everybody to come to the studio and be a part of the live studio audience. Now, Patrick is a partner of Adams and Peterson, which is an accounting firm here in Utah, and they are phenomenal at what they do. Super proficient and efficient in the way that they handle every single client and the way that they work with accounting and with taxes. And as you tune in on Friday, if you can join us in studio, be here with us. Or if you're online, you are going to be absolutely blown away with the content that Patrick shares. Now, the criteria to join us in the studio is that as a Renatus ICM, you have to bring a guest. Or as a Saladio IBO, you have to bring Oh, can you hear me? There we go.
I can hear you now.
All right, I kind of cut out there for a second. But the any of the digital business mastery owners or the financial mastery owners, you are welcome to tune in or just join us in studio as well. For everybody else, bring a guest, and we invite you to join us in the studio. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be a fun class.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
He's particularly knowledgeable. I feel like, I got the chance to just talk to him. And he knows a lot.
He does. He knows stuff. We had our first opportunity to really hear Patrick present down at the Leaders Retreat.
Yep.
And he was great. It was a great presentation. My favorite part, actually, though, was all of the time that he invested with the community outside of just his presentation.
Oh, yeah.
So people would just come up to him and start asking him questions, and he was just sharing. He was just
let
helping.
Alone that Cabana mastermind that we had. That was really cool, and I was excited to see him. Because I know that he's on vacation, right? He's got his wife with him. They want to go do things, and so for him to come and show up to that and engage, and he really had a good time.
Yeah,
like you can tell he's having a good time. I love it.
Pretty awesome.
I love it. So
also happening this Friday, but not just Friday and Saturday, is the East Coast Business Mastery Conference. East Coast. The East Business Mastery Conference.
Yeah.
Not on a coast.
It's
in Chicago.
Yeah.
Which is kind of on a coast. I mean, they're right there next to the lake, right?
It's a big lake, too.
It is a big lake.
It's a very big lake.
But we've got the East Business Mastery Conference coming up with presenters like Bob Tierney, Scott and Nancy Rowe, Eric Counts, Pierce Woodward, Woody Woodward, Bob Snyder. I know that I'm forgetting other people, and I apologize.
Is Maley going out there for it?
No, but Bob Bloom is going to be presenting. I think Maley is going to be zooming in for it,
awesome.
If I remember correctly. But it is going to be an incredible 2 days. Now, we had the West Business Mastery Conference here in the studio last week.
Yep.
And it was phenomenal. In fact, our guest today had opportunity to present, and it was so good to see him on the stage again, and we'll talk to him about that in just a minute.
Warms my heart.
Right?
It does.
Right. But so the East Business Mastery Conference is happening this Friday and Saturday. If you're looking to attend, make sure that you go to the Renatus calendar and sign up there, or get the information and be there or be square. This is our last conference of the year.
Yep. And you're not going to want to miss it.
No. The first one was incredible. I have every confidence that the East Conference is just going to be that much better.
Yeah.
So,
it'll be good.
Yeah, it's going to be phenomenal. Also, coming up very shortly, this is just a public service announcement, a little reminder to everybody that as of December 1st, Renatus ICM renewals are going to be going live.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yes. Don't forget.
Because every year we tell you
every single
not
year
to wait, don't procrastinate. Make sure you get it done, because every year there's somebody's or a few somebodies that don't renew, and then
the holidays just kind of creep up really quickly.
Yeah.
The end of the year creeps up really quickly. People get distracted by all of the events, all of the happenings, and they forget about it. They don't think about it. And then all of a sudden it's to that point where it's like do or die, and they just can't make it work, and they're frustrated and
and then it's too late, and they call and they're like, I meant to get it done. And
every single person, I'm sure that every single person that tunes into the podcast is going to take care of it right on December 1st. Just get it out of the way.
Wow.
Get it taken care of before all of the holiday events really start to kick into full swing.
They're jam listeners. They're on top of it.
They're jam listeners. That's have the creme de la creme here on the call.
Cream of the crop here.
Yeah, buddy.
Yes.
Is that what creme de la creme means? I thought it was cream of the cream.
I don't know.
I have no idea. Now I gotta look that up.
We really should look that up, because
it's French for cream of the cream.
Okay.
Cream of the cream.
I took a day or two of French.
There we go.
That's good.
So should I say pardon my French?
I guess so. I mean,
pardon my French.
So then what's? So if it's cream of the crop, then what's that?
Cream of the crop?
Where's that saying come from? It's different. So where's that come from?
Cream rises to the top?
No. No, that's not how that works. That's milk.
Well, yeah, that's what the cream is.
Cream of the crop?
Yeah, the cream of the crop is like the best of the best.
Thank you. He got it. Cream of the corn.
No.
Creamed corn?
Creamed corn. That's what the...
Doesn't milk grow on corn stalks?
Yes.
We're hard left turning.
Pretty
here.
sure. Yeah, dude.
Nobody's bringing us back.
I've been away for so long. I'm just happy to be here. I'm like, yes.
Right.
Oh man. All right. Also, not to be forgotten, on the 5th and 6th of December, we have Chris Albin coming live in the Renata studio and is going to be re-recording 2 of his courses.
Excellent. I look forward to that.
I can't remember which 2 they are.
He's got so many.
I think it's going to be Deal of the Decade and Real Estate Red Flags.
But people are going to want to be here for that.
Yes.
Chris is one of my absolute favorite instructors.
You can tell that he has a true love of educating.
Yes.
He was a teacher in his professional career, 100 years ago before he became a real estate investor.
Yep.
Or as he became a real estate investor. And as his real estate investing really took over, he realized that he just, teaching was cutting into his opportunity. So he stopped teaching, but that didn't change the fact that he loves to teach. And so when he gets on stage, he wants to make sure that every individual has every nugget, every tool, every bit of knowledge that he came prepared to share.
And that's why I like him.
Yeah.
He doesn't leave things out or assume that you know things, but he teaches it in such a way that it's not basic either. That it's not like, okay, you're covering a whole bunch of crap I can already deduce or know or whatever. So yeah, he's definitely, top tier.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorites.
So I have had a confirmation that it is Real Estate Red Flags and Deal of the Decade.
Okay, cool.
So that's what he's coming in to re-record on the 5th and 6th of December. Now, I am super excited about the 7th of December. What's happening on the 7th, Matthew?
You're talking about the what are we calling it? The digital business mastery conference.
No. Come on. This is the Saladio Acceleration Event.
Thank you. There you go.
Or no, the Acceleration Lab. Wow, I got it wrong. It's the SAL.
There's so many names.
The Acceleration Lab. The Saladio Acceleration Lab is happening on December 7th. One of the things that's really cool about this opportunity is we're going to have 7 Saladio instructors on the event. We've got, I think 2 or 3 are going to be remote. All the rest are going to be here live in studio with us.
And that's what matters.
Yes.
Regardless of what we call it, the content is there, and that's what I care about.
Yeah, and every single instructor is preparing content that has not been shared in their class, which means this is going to be all new content for you. It's going to be an opportunity for individuals who own the Digital Business Mastery to attend. For anybody who is not on the Digital Business Mastery subscription, they can attend as well. They do have to buy the ticket, and the ticket is $250 a pop.
Okay.
So for anybody on the Digital Business Mastery subscription, you get 2 tickets, one for yourself and one to share. And if you're not, you can go ahead and purchase as many tickets as you want, and you can attend that way.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Either way, be there. Don't
be square.
Yeah.
Just be there.
Just be there. You'll appreciate it, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be incredible. We've got... I'm trying to think of who all is going to be there. I know Bob Bloom's going to be on there. I know Bob Snyder's going to be there. I know Woody's going to be there. I know Randall Cloud is going to be there. Eric Counts is going to be online with us. In fact, we haven't even really talked about the class that Eric has created for Sladio, but that's coming. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Now, are you ready to introduce our featured guest for the remainder of the call?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. This is one of my absolute favorite people from and in Renatus. I got to know this guy quite some time, many years ago, and over the years I've just enjoyed our friendship and getting to know him more. He's somebody that every time I do get the chance to catch up with him, I'm surprised at all the things that are going on in his life and what he's doing. He's always doing stuff. He's probably I would consider him one of the quintessential examples of what Renatus education can do in your life if you just take it and apply it in your life. And I'd like to bring out Daine Clark.
Mr. Daine Clark.
Sweet, dude. What's up, guys?
Hey, man.
Daine, we are not only ridiculously excited to have you here with us on the call, because you are actually one of the very first people we had on the Jam many moons ago.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You were early on.
4 years ago, 3 years ago?
It was it had to have been like 2020.
Was it?
I'll bet it was.
Yeah. So a long time ago we had you on here. Super excited that you're back. And we had a great time seeing you present at the West Business Mastery Conference. What was that like? What brought you back to the stage?
Well, I guess how honest do you want me to be?
Very. Mitch called you?
Our Jam listeners are very honest people.
Yeah. So I got a call from, somebody texted me and said, like, hey, I'm so excited to see you this weekend. And I was like,
oh boy, this gets even better. This is juicy.
Like, what's going on this weekend?
I love this.
And so, I found out that way because I guess the schedule got released and had to make sure that my schedule permitted.
That's hilarious.
So that is funny.
Man. You got extorted into it.
Yeah. Wow.
Right there, see, that is how you leverage an instructor or a speaker into...
I don't recommend doing that. Yeah. I am super glad that it worked out and you were able to be here.
Too.
But I don't recommend that as the advisable course of action to work with it.
It's probably not a good business move altogether just to start doing that.
What time, where?
It happens. Yeah, that's great.
What do you want me to talk about? Like, it's
great. That's awesome.
So Matt was spot on that you are a shining example of what the education applied over time looks like. Tell us a little bit about why you were attracted to real estate investing and how you found Renatus.
Yeah, I grew up milking cows, family dairy farm for generations. And when I moved to Salt Lake to go to school, there's no farms there, obviously. And so the only thing I could think of was to get into roofing, still working with the hands. And every time I tried to get out of farming or roofing, I always found myself back farming or roofing.
Right.
And I worked at the Apple store. That's where I met my wife, actually. And I guess the running joke is that I got what I came for because I didn't last very long at the Apple Store. Went back to roofing.
Yeah.
I got a job doing tech for a company for a while, and that company ended up going belly up, and went back to roofing. Got another job doing tech again, back to roofing, because they went belly up. One of those actually, the FBI came and picked up the CEO. Like it was a bad
wow.
deal.
Oh,
really bad
yeah,
deal,
that's
yeah. We'll have to hear more about that later. What the heck?
But yeah, always back to roofing. And so that's when I got introduced to Renatus. I was on one more of my back to roofing experiences, and Mitch was the one who introduced me to Renatus.
Yeah.
And he came and said, like, hey, we should get into real estate. I'm going to do it. I didn't know that he had just purchased his own Renatus education at the time. And it was like, yeah, I'm going to get into this. We're going to get into flipping houses. We're going to do stuff. And I told him no. I was like, not interested. I don't know a dang thing about real estate. I just come off of a situation of getting laid off because the company had gone belly up, and that most recent one was I was actually on vacation with my sweet wife. We didn't have any kids yet, and my boss had said, called me. We were at the hotel. I remember looking out over I think we were in Vegas coming home from California, and we got upgraded because again, we didn't make very much money. We got upgraded for free to some penthouse, beautiful view of the skyline and so anyway, I remember receiving the phone call, looking out over all the lights there in Vegas, and my boss said, I'm really sorry, but when you get home, I don't have a job for you. We're out of money. We're done. Anyway, so come off of that, Mitch was like, hey, you want to do this with me? And I was like, no thanks. Just not. I don't know a dang thing about it. Never bought a house in my life. Turned him down. And so it wasn't until a year later that my sweet wife was pregnant with our first kid, and she's like, hey, I'm going to quit my job. I was back to roofing, and I was like, oh. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, here's my options. Go double time roofing, basically, like have to make up for her income.
Right.
Overtime roofing, or I got to do something else. I got to figure something else out. And so the best idea I could come up with was, and I can't remember where I got this, but might have been just from the little bit that I got introduced through Mitch, but was just like, you know what? I'm going to buy one rental property, and I'll buy one rental property every single year for the next 20 years, and it'll be great. And so I was like, the first person that popped into my head was Mitch. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to buy a rental. Can you give me 5 pointers? And he just laughed. And he's like, oh, like, you're going to hurt yourself. Like,
yeah, right.
You got to get educated and whatever. And I was like, oh, what do you mean by that? And got introduced to Renatus. I was like, oh, you want me to buy your thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was how I got introduced, was just knowing Mitch for that period of time and knowing that he was doing real estate. Called him back because I was like, I'm not roofing.
Yeah.
I'm not roofing.
How many times did you go back to roofing throughout your life?
Oh my gosh. I mean, during high school, I was roofing, went on a mission, came home, was roofing, got a job at Apple, roofed after that. And then got a job at that other company that, the boss got picked up from the FBI at roofing after that.
Jeez.
And then that last one.
Wow.
So
6.
Yeah, 5 or 6 times.
Jeez.
Wow.
Back to roofing. I have not been on a roof since about a year after I bought Renatus.
Yeah.
I put in my 2 weeks at that. and I have not been on a roof since.
Yeah. Who puts
awesome.
up Christmas lights?
I don't.
That's hilarious.
No, my wife is trying to get me to do Christmas lights, and I was like, no, we're going to install the permanent ones.
There you go. That's the way to do it.
Have somebody else come and do that.
Never getting on a roof again.
Yeah.
That's funny. I'm never going to step foot on a roof. You seem, I hope this isn't rude, but you seem pale of complexion to be on top of a roof a lot,
Yeah, I had to dress like Moses. I would wear I'd have a long sleeve shirt because my and even to this day I still wear long sleeves. Just got used to it, I guess. But yeah, long sleeve shirt all summer long, and then I would have another long sleeve shirt that I would put just like the head or just the neck over my head, and then I would tie the arms behind my head so I would kind of keep it out.
Yeah.
And so I'd wear 2 shirts.
Wow. Yeah.
Looking like Moses, and then long pants, and oh my gosh,
that's what you got to do.
I had to stay out of the sun.
Yeah, that's
being a redhead. So can you share like a pivotal moment for you that shaped your journey with Renatus in the early days?
Pivotal moment. So again, to be perfectly honest, I when I had first bought Renatus, I told Mitch, I was like, hey, I'm not doing the marketing. I just want to do real estate. And again, just being perfectly honest with even some of like I'll call them myths. I had myths that I was acting on, I guess, in the beginning. But I remember going to one of the community groups and sitting there and meeting a few people, sure. But remember just looking around the room, like there's a lot of new people here. And like, how are these people going to help me? And so I ended up leaving that community, meeting, study groups, whatever, and just told myself like, I'm not going back. And so again, being shy, farm boy, like couldn't talk to people, just decided that I was going to get the best education from the instructors instead of, a bunch of fellow newbies. And just to, there's a few guys that were doing real estate, obviously. That's exactly what I did. I started binge watching the classes, never stepped foot to any networking events, and just, I really got to know my Chris Albin and
you took the education.
So I actually opened the laptop and I binged watched
so much. Yeah.
And that was the let's see, I joined November 15th of 2015, and so I was just wrapping up a semester at college, because that rendition of going back to roofing, my wife was like, well, maybe you should go to college.
Yeah.
And so I was
when
doing
kids come, stuff gets serious.
Yeah, I was doing some college, and so anyway, wrapped up that semester, and then was like, okay, I can focus on this. So all of December, all of January was just binge watching Renatus classes, and I think it was like early February, to your question, I had this awakening because I watched all the fix and flip track, I watched all the essentials, I watched all the buy and hold track, and some of them even twice, and then was like, all right, where's the deals? Like, I'm educated.
Yeah.
I need the real estate. I thought the real estate deals were just like at the end of the classes.
Just come, right?
Yeah. And so had I, again, I had to learn that though, because like I said, I grew up, dairy farming, didn't talk to people, just super shy. And so I had this rude awakening at that time where all of a sudden I was quote unquote educated, but I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any realtors. I didn't know any title companies, title agents. I didn't know any contractors.
Yeah, this is where the networking kind of becomes really important.
And I found, I realized I made a mistake, that I should have been talking to as many people as I possibly could during my let's call it my during my education watching, because I would have been that much further ahead. And so all of a sudden I realized, like, okay, I gotta talk to people. And to be perfectly honest, I was so angry at that moment, because in my mind I was like, crap, I got bait and switched. Like, I just wasted $20 some odd thousand buying this combo, and there's no real estate deals at the end of the education.
Yeah.
And so there was a few weeks there where I was just like, man, I wasted oh my gosh, like, how am I going to pay off all this debt? Because I went into debt to purchase my combo. And so yeah, for a couple weeks there, I was so angry with my enroller, and then just decided, you know what? I guess success is real life. It takes communication skills to do real estate. And so I guess that's what I need to learn. And so started coming to the community events, and in that, again, long answer to your question, but
no, it's good.
But in that moment of realizing, like, okay, I have to build the skill of talking to people. Mm-hmm. What better way than to do the very thing that I told Mitch I will not do. I will not be an ICM. I will not talk to people. I will not do that. And all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself, like, what better way to build personal skills than to just immerse myself entirely selling Renatus, helping other people that are in my same shoes, and trying to do real estate.
Right.
And so I think it was February. So I joined in November. By February, I had bought my ICM signed up as an ICM, and I told myself that would be my ticket, that I would learn how to talk to people. It would help me raise money. It would help me find deals. It would help me, the commission was just going to be cream. I was just like, yeah, I mean, sure, Renatus pays really well to bring people in. So it'll just be more money to buy real estate.
Right.
What a great way to look at it. And you're looking at all the advantages that come, I think, that a lot of people miss.
Yeah.
Because they're focused on a commission, and that's what they want out of it.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that the relationships, the networking, and all that stuff that comes along with it.
All those skills, those talents that you can refine and really hone in on.
Yeah, working on just getting better at networking. I mean, that is huge.
Yeah, and I think it was Garrett Gunderson that when he was just recording his when he was the new instructor at that time, and there was a phrase that it almost pushed me over when I heard it, and he said, all wealth is built through conversation. And when I heard that, it was all I needed to hear.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you can get all the education in the world, but if you cannot talk to people, it's not yours to have.
Yeah.
And so
the education, I think, is the engine, but that conversation is the wheels. That's how you get the power to the ground and go.
Yeah, exactly. Because the only way you get paid is somebody has to initiate payment.
Right.
A landlord, a tenant has to initiate a payment. A fix and flip, a title company has to initiate a payment. So it's people.
Right.
Like people are
every part of it. We've Mr. Hiller has been dropping in some comments here, and he said, thank you for reiterating that point about how important the networking part of the community is. And then he said, and look at you now, rock star.
Yeah.
So take us back to the very first deal that you did, and what did that look like? What kind of obstacles did you face getting into that first transaction, and what did you walk away with as far as what did you learn through that?
Yeah. So I guess I'm going to cheat a little bit and say that there's a couple of deals that I call my first deals, because the very first deal that I ever got into was I teamed up with somebody else in the community, and so yeah. I mean, I guess I call that, sure, it was the first deal, but honestly, I feel like I don't count it because I feel like I didn't do anything. Like they were more experienced than I was. I just contributed what I could. But the very first deal that I did without the training wheels on,
right,
is usually the one that I look to because I feel like I learned the most in that one. And it was learning that I had to have conversations. I just started talking to people, and who else to start talking to than your mom? And so I call up my mom and because again to touch on to go back in time real quick, when I first joined Renatus, I kept it a secret. I refused to tell my parents, my brothers and sisters, any of my friends. Like I refused to tell anybody because I was like, what if this becomes my biggest failure? Then nobody will know.
Right.
That I
you
failed.
Don't want them to rub it in your face.
So I kept it a huge secret, which again I learned was a mistake later on, but finally when I'm like, fast forward, like, okay, talk to people, who else to talk to than my mom? And so I call her up and I'm gonna be a real estate investor, and I guarantee that she had that, mindset of like just patting me on the head, like, oh, that's cute, Daine, congratulations. But just having that one conversation, she calls me back like 2 weeks later and says, Daine, do you remember that house that you used to pass going to school every single day? The piece of junk, ugly house that nobody liked in the neighborhood, and everybody's like, oh, like, who's gonna clean that one up? The grass was as tall as you kids, and she's, anyway, remember that house? Like, yeah, I remember that house. And she's like, somebody just put a sign in the yard. You should go buy it. You told me you're wanting to do this. And so bless her heart, my mom was the one who helped me find that first deal, just having that conversation of, and really it was just the goals, like, Mom, I'm gonna do this. Like, this is what I want. And yeah, so put an offer in on that house and hired a realtor because it was a short sale. And so there's already a realtor involved. And so hired a realtor, had him help me put in the offer. And because I didn't realize, I didn't watch the short sale class yet. And so I didn't realize that short sale didn't mean anything to do with time.
As a matter of fact, they usually are the longest ones, right?
Yeah. And so we make the offer and he's like, cool, like, we'll probably have to wait a few months. I was like, what are you talking about? Like,
that doesn't sound very short to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I make that offer and just go about my business because I kind of forgot about it, that offer was in there, and started marketing. And I think I had even almost gotten 5-star, tried to make a few other offers here and there, but just, kept reaching my limits of my conversation ability, if you will, my knowledge ability. So didn't do a deal yet. And then the realtor calls me like months later and was like, hey, they accepted our offer. I was like, who are you? And anyway, so they accept my offer, and all of a sudden I was like, crap, I need money to buy this house.
Right.
And so all of a sudden I'm like freaking out, like, okay, I got to get money. I got to get a contractor. Like, I need all of these people that I hadn't really been networking with. And so, I had watched the wholesale class though. And so I was like, you know what? Save the day. I don't need the money. I don't need the contractors. I don't need any of that. We're just going to wholesale it. And so, again, when I say the training wheels were off on this deal, like, they were barely off. Like, so I end up, I think my realtor could smell that I was scrambling, right? Realtors can tell. And I think he could smell that I was just scrambling. And we had this contract was $150,000 short of what the ARV was going to be. I mean, we had a really good spread on it. And so I think the realtor was just kind of like, crap, Daine doesn't know what he's doing. like who am I representing here? And so as I start talking to him, like, oh, I think I'm going to wholesale it. And he ends up saying, you know what, Daine, I'll buy it. Like, this is a sweet deal. He's like, I'll buy it. And so, again, being new to conversations, even new to self-worth, personal development, he's like, I'll buy it. And I was like, okay, yeah. How much will you pay me? And he's like, $500. And so my first wholesale,
wow, you just signed it over.
Just whatever he said, I said, all right.
Man.
So he gave me $500.
How much did he make off?
Man.
Do you know?
He ended up, I think he spent $30K fixing it up.
So he made like 120.
Oh yeah, he made
That's the best $500 he ever spent right there.
Man. Yeah, no kidding.
But it opened my eyes.
Yeah.
And I love sharing that story, even though it's not like some people's first story is like, yeah, we made $50,000 on our first deal, whatever.
I like hearing stories like this.
But it literally, for me and where I was, it opened the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the very next wholesale deal I ever did, I made $60,000.
Wow.
And
that's awesome.
And it was all I needed. It was just to see that process go through one time.
Yeah.
And
that total mindset shift took place.
Because then I had my title agent. Obviously I didn't use that realtor again because he just thought I was a nobody. But I had my title agent. I had my contractor because I remember trying to get all the contractors for that one and just it wasn't working. But yeah, off to the races.
Right.
Just doing that doing that first one. And yeah. So
how many have you done now? Do you know?
Oh, I know we hit 300.
Oh my gosh.
A couple of months ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so probably, if I were to guess, probably like 300, somewhere between 315, 320, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how has your perspective on real estate investing evolved over the years? Because I mean, that was 9 years ago.
Yeah, 9 years ago this month. So what I love telling people is whatever got you to start looking outside of yourself that eventually led you to Renatus, stick with that. So for example, like my first thought was that I wanted to buy that one rental per year, and obviously it was deeply flawed. But if I translate that after learning all these things from all these instructors, if I translate that into a more educated way of saying it, I guess, is that I wanted to get into real estate to be very passive. I wanted the real estate to be very passive. And so at the time, rentals was like in my mind, that was the passive. And so sorry, remind me your question.
I just asked you, since that very first deal, how has that evolved?
Yeah. And so jumping in, I actually didn't start on rentals.
Right.
Because I was watching all the rest of the community and what they were doing, and a lot of people were flipping houses, and it just looked like the sexiest thing to flip a house and have all the before and after. I mean, I watched Chip and Joanna Gaines, and so like, all the HGTV stuff, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna flip houses.
Yeah.
And so I tried flipping houses for years and did a handful of them, but it was always a means to an end. And so I realized that even though I thought I wanted to flip houses because that's what everybody else, it was the hot thing to do,
right,
that I didn't like flipping houses. And so then I was like, okay, no, I'm going to slow down on doing that. I'm going to go back to the roots. So I wanted to buy rentals in the beginning, so I'm going to start doing that. Renatus education will allow me to start on that if I wanted to, instead of, because the mindset was like, oh, I need to flip houses so that I can buy rentals. And again, flawed mentality there, but thought that just because of what I saw other people doing. And so anyway, so then I started buying rentals and learned very quickly that rentals are not passive. It's a business. There's a lot of moving parts that are involved in buying rentals, even hiring property managers. Sure, you have more time,
right?
That's great, but it costs you more money to have more time freedom from rentals. And so I learned really quickly. I think the most I ever had was half a dozen units, and realized, like, okay, I don't think it was rentals that I wanted. I remember watching Tony Scotty's class on contract for deed, and was like, well, sure, I know I wanted to start on rentals, but you know what? That didn't exist in my world before I joined Renatus. And so after seeing that class, I was like, this is why I bought Renatus.
Yeah.
I remember listening to him running his stuff from Hawaii, and he's buying in somewhere
Ohio, I think.
Ohio, yeah, somewhere eastern, and thinking like, okay, that's what I thought I wanted, or how do I say that? That's what I actually wanted, but didn't know it existed.
Right.
And so, because it was always to be passive from the get-go. I wanted passive income through real estate, and so I bounced around, did some commercial, did the wholesale, did a handful of wholesale deals, did a handful of flips, bunch of rentals, and it wasn't until I landed on that contract for deed type stuff that I was just like, this is what I want.
Yeah. And
it was interesting because as soon as, to further answer your question, as soon as I was able to put those garters on, it's like, okay, I know John Dissauer's class is amazing and everybody's watching it and everybody that has watched it is telling me how good it is. But I'm going to put the garters on and I'm going to do one thing over and over and over and over and over again, almost copy paste. And as soon as I had that mindset of like, I'm just going to do the same thing over and over again, started doing a deal a month, started doing a deal a week even, over and over, just copy paste, literally to the point where we don't even have to copy paste now. It's just push a button and our systems just do it for us. But yeah, so that was kind of the evolution.
Yeah.
I came back to what I originally joined for, but just a much higher educated.
And I love how you said that for anybody or everybody who gets involved with Renatus, they should really hold on to that reason why they came here, that reason why they stepped outside of their comfort circle, that they did something different in their life, and then they should zero in on that and focus on it and do it over and over and over until they become not just proficient at it, but become the expert at it. That's amazing. And
put those blinders on.
Yeah, that is such a formula for true success that people overlook. Because like you said, fix and flip, it's sexy. It's big, big checks, before and after pictures. It's even that it moves quickly. But that's not necessarily what's going to build wealth for everybody. There are some people that can create systems. They can do that on a bigger scale and do wonderful. But like you said, you're kind of buying into a job. That's a full, you got to, go full tilt there. Yeah. But that's phenomenal. So tell us about a time when maybe a transaction, a deal that you were putting together didn't go quite as planned, and what you did to overcome the hurdles that you had.
Oh man, I got a bunch of those.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Let's see, didn't go as planned. So this is a really funny story. So I doing the contract for deed stuff, I got super excited about it. Just again, conversations. I knew that I just had to talk to everybody and anybody and everybody. And so I love, Renatus was the one that introduced me to the concept of personal development. Whether it was through Renatus or community in Renatus, both the same essentially. And so I started doing any kind of personal development I could, reading books, listening to podcasts. I would go to those 3-day hoorah seminars where you stand up and like jump and, I anything I could get my hands on, I was like, I'm going to try it all.
Yeah.
And so knowing that all wealth is built through conversation, I was just like, well, I'm not going to let anything go to waste. If I ever go to something that, sure, it's not real estate related, I'm going to talk to people. And so I remember going to one of those hoorah event things and 3-day weekend and just always had my elevator pitch ready, my one sentence, my one liner ready to go that would, I call it the puppy dog head tilt, where you say something and people are like, wait, what? And it sticks with them. And so I was at one of those events and at this event I had to exchange phone numbers with a few people, because I think we had to like collaborate on something and then come back the next day and I can't remember what it was, but anyway, so I was exchanging phone numbers with people. I'm asking what they're doing, they're asking what I'm doing. I gave them my one liner. The gal calls me like 2 weeks later and she's like, hey, that thing that you said that you do, I'm in that boat. I'm trying to sell a house that I own and buy a bigger house. And because I am a business owner, I file my taxes on I make all my income a few months out of the year. The bank doesn't like that. I don't fit in their box to go get a loan. My credit's amazing, but the bank won't touch me because of how that income comes in, one piece of the year. And so she's like, I'm that person. I need your help to buy a house. And so anyway, long story short, that gets into that didn't go as planned. We end up helping sell her house and purchase the new one basically simultaneously. And the house that she picked out, it had an HOA on it. I call the HOA and say, hey, I'm not a landlord. I don't want to be a landlord. I could go down that road along, I'll talk you blue in the face and to prove that I'm not a landlord. But I have a person that wants to buy a house in your HOA, and it'll be, basically seller financing, contract for deed. Do you allow that? And she says, well, we don't allow rentals in this HOA, but we do allow, we're okay with seller financing. Okay, great, click. So we do the deal. everything's hunky-dory, and I get the loveliest love letter.
Those are nasty. Those are nasty little letters.
From an attorney. Like, it wasn't even the HOA. They had already hired counsel from their attorney.
Oh, no.
And so their attorney sent, I got to like frame this. Now that I'm telling this story, I was like, I got to go back and save all these emails, because this, it was nuts. So this beautiful letter where he's like accusing me of like getting cute, getting around their rental or getting around their HOA rental agreements, and I'm caught red-handed, and we're going after you. Like, we will make your life miserable because you tried to get around the no rental rules. Because with contract for deed, I'm on title,
right,
until they pay off the contract.
Right.
So it looks like a rental to them.
Yeah.
And so they're freaking out.
Yeah.
Get this love letter from this attorney, and I decided to just play like what are you talking about? Like, I play dumb, basically. Like you got the wrong. Like, I'm Daine Clark. You sure this wasn't meant for somebody else? Like, what are you talking about? And so, and I'm like legitimately going back and forth with this attorney, telling him like, no, they said I could do this. This is not seller financing, and he would not drop it, back and forth, just telling me how big of a scoundrel I am, and he caught me, and I'm gonna pay, and I did not let up, though, both playing dumb and telling him like, dude, you got the wrong guy. Like, there's no way. Like, my tenant gave me $60,000. You ever heard of a landlord?
Yeah, no kidding, right?
A move-in deposit of $60,000. Dude, everybody'd be a landlord.
Yeah.
If their tenants were giving them 60 G's to move in, and so I think I finally got to him where he's like, okay, I think I believe Daine. But then he wanted me to meet with the HOA board, and they were just irate.
Every HOA board in the history of HOA boards.
Couldn't even talk to him.
Yeah.
Like, they were so emotionally like, make this guy pay. Like, and again, I think I had kind of won over the attorney. But just because they are his client, and they said, get him. Like, he was just like, well, I gotta do it. So anyway, I end up hiring my attorney that knows the laws, back to Renatus, where they say, I think at the beginning of every class, it says, hire competent, keyword, competent professionals. So I call up my attorney, hey, this is escalating. I think I need you. Anyway, so we set up a meeting with me, my attorney, them, their attorney, and it was hilarious, because as soon as we open up a Zoom call, this is down in St. George, Utah, so I wasn't going to drive down there nor pay my attorney to go to. So anyway, conference call, Zoom call, and my attorney shows up, and all of a sudden their attorney like starts like floundering, like dude, what? You didn't say you were bringing your attorney to this. And I knew, just like his reaction, their reaction, like they thought it was just going to be me, them, and their attorney in this three-way meeting, and that they were about to just bully me into oblivion. But as soon as they saw my attorney and who my attorney was, like, this guy is like the authority on contract for deed seller financing in the state of Utah. Like, he helped write the seller finance addendum that this is the state approved form on the Division of Real Estate website for Utah.
Oh, wow.
Like, he knows his stuff, and so he shows up, and of course, now their attorney's kind of like backpedaling, and I could tell that their pre-conversation before I arrived, where they were just like get him, because now my attorney's talking to their attorney, and they're having that conversation, and my attorney's basically saying things like you realize that HOAs do not supersede the Division of Real Estate law. like HOAs are not the government. Sure, you're your own little government, but you cannot supersede that you allow people to own houses in your HOA. This is ownership.
Right.
And their attorney's like backpedaling big. I could see it in his face. I wish I recorded it. Gosh darn it. But yeah, their attorney's like backpedaling, and still the HOA board, there's an older guy and an older gal. And again, they're just like looking at their attorney, just like
get him.
Freaking get him. Like, come on. Like, they were getting so mad. And And so, long story short, my attorney and their attorney, exchange their legalese words and stuff like that, and they come to an agreement. Okay, yeah. So my attorney's like, all right, what if we do this? Will you guys accept that? And he had to turn to his clients, obviously on a Zoom call, but he had to say to his clients, like, yes, they are able to do this.
Yeah, like, guys, you're gonna take this.
And so then they're like, okay, fine, but you still have to pay our attorney's fees, and for hiring him to go down this
to
wild
go after
goose.
you.
Yeah, and so I basically just told him, well, how much is it going to be? And it was like, I can't remember, it was like $1,000 or something like that they had already racked up their bill with him. And so I was just like, you know what, like, I guarantee their HOA is not wealthy.
Yeah.
And so for them to have to support their own attorney's fees to take care of this, like, I could tell that it was. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to take the high road, and sure, I'll write him a check. And anyway, so we did what our two attorneys agreed on just fine, no problems, and solved. Off to the races, good to go. But oh my gosh, for a while there, I was sweating bullets.
Yeah, you got to frame that email.
Oh yeah, I got to go find it.
Yeah, you do.
That was a good story, but
yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you relied on competent legal counsel, somebody who just didn't just understand what you were saying, but also understood the full implication of the law, like you said, was a author or co-author of the statutes that were posted on the website. It's like, that really speaks highly to who he was, and go after competent representation and make sure you do it right.
Oh my gosh. But and it was funny because that wasn't the first time that happened. That's happened at least one other time, but because of it, like, I've been able to get in front of it and never blew up that bad again.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, stuck it to him.
Oh gosh.
Oh man. So in all of your investing, all of your experience, what role has the Renatus community played in your business?
Oh, it is more valuable than I think anybody really understands. I mean, you go to any of these other companies that are selling education, that come in and do their 3-day weekend or whatever, and then they head out of town. But with Renatus, the running joke, and I'm sure this is going around all over the place, but the running joke is that it's like real estate church. I mean, anybody that has ever stepped foot in a church more than one time, especially let's say 7 days apart, you see the same people.
Yep.
Same place, same time, and you get to know their family, you get to know what they're up, things that are going on in their lives, and it's like, hey, church,
right.
And with the Renatus communities, nobody's paid. It's all volunteer army. Like, people show up just to give back, and it's just like, it just reminds me of church.
Oh yeah.
And so, not in a blasphemous way, but the concept of building a community around those kind of principles. And so when you have that ability to see the same people on a weekly basis versus like when I go to some of those 3-day seminars or whatever, again, real estate, non-real estate, doesn't matter, you don't really build a relationship with those people, but with Renatus, I mean, you make friendships.
Yeah.
In fact, it is hilarious. We just did a big camp out. We bought that ranch up in Idaho. And I'm not sure if you guys had heard about this or not, but
I've heard about it.
But we did this big camp out. We had 80 some odd people at our house.
Oh wow!
Camp, tents, RVs, just and it was funny because when we bought the place, I remember thinking like, oh, we're gonna do stuff like this. Like, we're gonna host, we're gonna have events, we're gonna have, it's gonna be so fun. But every single time, my wife and I have thought about like, who would we invite to an event like that? Every single time it's like, dude, there's nobody that beats the Renatus community. I mean, we could do church groups, we could do other real estate kind of groups, we could do friends, we could do family, but the Renatus community is literally second to none. It is the most fun group to be around. It is, I mean, I could speak on this. In fact, on Friday, I was here at corporate and spoke at the regional, and the next day I spoke at the Utah Real Estate Investors Association. They do their big yearly meeting.
Yep.
And the owner is actually a Renata student. He's my Renata student, actually.
Nice.
So we could get into that side story, but regardless, the point is going from Renatus on Friday and then to the RIA yearly event on Saturday and seeing the two contrasts. Like, man, the Renatus community is just, it is the most fun group. I mean, sure, and there's education everywhere, sure. Like you were saying, the content might be the same, but it's the people. Mm-hmm. And so going from back to back, I mean, you just, the community is second to none. And so not only is it like the most fun group ever for newbies, like I was, it was crucial. Like I needed it, not necessarily to have the fun. That's just like, what were we talking about? No, you were talking cream on the cream of the crop or whatever.
Yeah. Cream of the crop.
It's cream of the crop. But you have those people like, let's call it real estate church, if you will, that they are working here in your local neighborhoods. They have, I got that attorney through Renatus connections. I got my title agent through Renatus connections. I got my several contractors, subcontractors, realtors, I mean, you name it, the people that you need to execute a real estate transaction from start to finish. Referrals are, in my opinion, the way to go. And I got all of those people through the Renatus community to do the first deal, to do the 300th deal.
That's awesome.
Those connections are crucial. And so yeah, like I can't say it enough that like really what Renatus has created is literally second to none.
That's amazing.
Even going, like I said, I mean, the Utah RIAs are no slouch, if you will, but yeah, Renatus has an edge on the market by far.
So
for community.
So we're right at the end of our time, and I told you I wouldn't get through. I didn't even get through half my questions. But I love asking this question to everybody who comes on our podcast with us, and that is, if you were to talk to a brand new individual in Renatus, or even talk to yourself as you were brand new in Renatus, what would be a piece of advice that you would share with them?
Kind of like in my story, where I got educated with no connections, no people, no conversations, and then I went and had the conversations. Had I understood that it's both, like you need the conversations. In fact, I think it was you that said this, that the education is, I guess you used an analogy, but the education is the talking points. If all wealth,
the education is the motor.
The motor and wheels,
and the community's the wheels.
But if all wealth is built through conversation, the education is just the talking points. And so get educated. Yes, I'm not saying don't watch your classes. In fact, we could go off on this, and I see people that don't watch their classes and get themselves in trouble. But if I could do both at the same time, or if I were to go back, I would do both at the same time. I'd be watching my classes on a regular basis, and I would be having conversations about what I'm learning at minimum, about what I'm learning in my classes, and starting up those conversations, meeting realtors and title agents, whoever, people, money lenders. Because if I would have done both at the same time, I would have been so much further ahead versus having to take several months and watch education only, and then take several months to figure out how to talk to a human. Yeah. And then start having the rubber meets the road effect.
Right. Yeah.
Do both. Just start telling people, and you don't have to fake it till you make it. Just start telling people what you want, what you want to do. I mean, the human race is in our DNA that when somebody says they have a problem, or when somebody brings up that they have a problem or a goal, it is human nature that people, if they can, they want to help. And so like it's utilize human nature. Tell people what you want. Tell people what you're learning. And obviously not like in a showy way or fake it till you make it kind of thing, but just say, hey, I want to flip a house. I want to buy a rental. I want to invest in real estate, whatever. And you'll be shocked that sure, some people will, like, literally nothing will happen.
Right.
But some people will be like, oh my gosh, you should talk to this person. I mean, I could sit here and tell stories of that kind of thing where people were like, not my thing, but you should talk to them. And then went and raised $1 million from that person. And that person gave me a referral that I raised $4 million from that referral. And that referral sent me another guy that raised $2 million. And so from just like one guy that was like, like not really my thing, but you should talk to him. It was like $8 million.
Wow.
Just because I was okay to tell people what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I've done hundreds of deals with all of those people. So yeah, on a bumper sticker, learn and talk.
That's
at
awesome.
the same time.
At the same time.
I mean, maybe don't be like on the phone while you're watching classes, but yeah.
Of course.
In the same days.
That's amazing. And man, you rock. You really are. You are incredible. And what you've been sharing is truly foundational to people being able to really leverage Renatus to create the success that they're looking for in their lives. And I love that. That is probably my favorite piece of advice that when I've asked that question to individuals is to learn and to talk authentically. Be real about it. But if you tell people what you're doing, tell people what you want, tell people what you're learning, all of a sudden you're going to get a call from your mom. Hey, you remember that one house you used to walk by all the time? And you're going to make your first $500.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I so appreciate you coming in studio and being here with us. This has been awesome.
Oh, anytime. Love this community.
Thank you, Daine.
Man, you rock. Don't forget, everybody, the reason why Renatus rocks is because of the people who are associated with us, like Mr. Daine Clark, like Mr. Matt Snyder, like Mr. Aaron Peterson, like every single one of you. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back with you next Wednesday. Renatus rocks.